Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Sir DL and welcome to the Aliens Blog and Math Tutorial. For today, we are going to discuss about t-test ANOVA. We are going to study t-test ANOVA. What are the objectives of this lesson? Number 1, discuss t-test ANOVA. Number 2, calculate the F value of t-test ANOVA. And number 3, apply t-test ANOVA in the field of research. Those are the objectives that we need to meet at the end of this lesson. Always remember, if you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. Okay, what is t-test or f-test? It is a statistical tool or test in which it determines the significant difference of 3 or more sample means. It is also similar to t-test. However, this tool tests multiple groups to see if they differ on one or more variables. What is t-test ANOVA one way? It tests the group or groups to determine if there are significant differences on a single set of scores. That is t-test ANOVA one way. Example of a problem or research problem that we can apply t-test ANOVA. Determine whether freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors differed in their academic performance. Determine whether freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors differed in their academic performance. That is an example of a research problem wherein we can apply t-test ANOVA. Another example, determine if there are significant differences among the scores of the 3 sections of accountancy students on statistics. Determine if there are significant differences among the scores of the 3 sections of accountancy students on statistics. What are the formulas to be followed in order for us to get the value of f-test? First one is f is equal to MSB over MSW, where MSB is equal to mean square between, and MSW is equal to mean square within. Next, in order for us to get the value of MSB, we need to divide the sum of squares between or SSB over the degrees of freedom between or DFB. In order for us to get the value of MSW, we need to divide the sum of squares within or SSW over DFW or degrees of freedom within. In order for us to get the degrees of freedom between, we need to subtract the total number of groups minus 1. In order for us to get the values of degrees of freedom within, we need to get the total number of frequency minus the total number of group. In order for us to know the value of SSB, we need to do this formula. That is, SSB is equal to the square of summation of x sub 1 over n sub 1 plus the square of summation of x sub 2 over n sub 2 plus the square of the summation of x sub 3 over n sub 3 minus the square of the summation of xt over n sub t. In order for us to get the value of SSW or the sum of squares within, we need to do this formula. That is the quantity of the summation of the square of x sub 1 minus the square of the summation of x sub 1 over n sub 1 plus the quantity of the summation of the square of x sub 2 minus the square of the summation of x sub 2, or this one is the summation of the square of x sub 2 minus the square of the summation of x sub 2 over n sub 2 plus the quantity of the summation of the square of x sub 3 minus the square of the summation of x sub 3 over n sub 3. Those are the formulas that we need to follow in order for us to solve for the value of f-test or t-test ANOVA value. Let's try to solve this example. Determine if there are significant differences among the scores of the 3 sections of accountancy students on the statistics. Section 1, these are the scores. Section 2, these are the scores. Section 3, these are the scores. First step, state the null hypothesis. H sub 0 or the null hypothesis is There are no significant differences among the scores of the three sections of accountancy students on statistics. That means age sub 0 is equal to min sub 1 is equal to min sub 2 is equal to min sub 3. Next, set the alpha level, that is 0.05. That means we have 95% level of confidence and 5% margin of error. Next step, let's calculate the value or the F value. We will be filling in this table first before we will be solving for the value of F or F value. What's the first step? Find the value of the square of x sub 1 by multiplying the value of x sub 1 by itself. We are going to multiply 48 times 48, 2,304, 50 times 50, 2,500, 53 multiplied by 53, 2,809, 52 times 52, 2,704, 50 times 50, 2,500. That is the first step. Second one, find the value of the square of x sub 2 by multiplying the value of x sub 2 by itself. 55 times 55, 3,025, 52 times 52, 2,704, 53 times 53, 2,809, 55 times 55, that is 3,025, 53 times 53, that is 2,809. Next, find the value of square of x sub 3 by multiplying the value of x sub 3 by itself. 51 times 51 is 2,601. 52 times 52, that is 2,704. 50 times 50 is 2,500. 53 times 53, that is 2,809. 50 times 50, that is 2,500. Those are the first three steps. Find the value of the square of x sub 1 by multiplying the value of x sub 1 by itself. Find the value of the square of x sub 2 by multiplying the value of x sub 2 by itself. These are the values. Find the value of the square of x sub 3 by multiplying the value of x sub 3 by itself. These are the values. Next step, find the value or find the summation of x sub 1, square of summation of x sub 1, summation of x sub 2, summation of the square of x sub 2, summation of x sub 3, summation of the square of x sub 3. We will just be simply adding all the values of x sub 1, that is 48 plus 50 plus 53 plus 52 plus 50. Summation of x sub 1 is 253. Next one, 2,304 plus 2,500 plus 2,809 plus 2,704 plus 2,500. Summation of the square of x sub 1 is equal to 12,817. Next one, summation of x sub 2, 55 plus 52 plus 53 plus 55 plus 53. That is summation of x sub 2 is equal to 268. Then summation of the square of x sub 2, 3,025 plus 2,704 plus 2,809 plus 3,025 plus 2,809. Summation of the square of x sub 2 is equal to 14,372. Then summation of x sub 1, 51 plus 52 plus 50 plus 53 plus 50. Summation of x sub 3 is equal to 256. Summation of the square of x sub 3, 2,601 plus 2,704 plus 2,500 plus 2,809 plus 2,500. Summation of the square of x sub 3 is equal to 13,114. Those are the values of summation of x sub 1, the summation of the square of x sub 1, summation of x sub 2, the summation of the square of x sub 2, summation of x sub 3, and the summation of the square of x sub 3. Next one, find the mean of x sub 1, mean of x sub 2, mean of x sub 3 by simply dividing 253 by how many frequencies do we have for first group? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 253 divided by 5. The mean for x sub 1 is equal to 50.6. That is adding all these values, that is 48 plus 50 plus 53 plus 52 plus 50. 253 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divided by 5, 50.6. Same thing with the mean of x sub 2. 55 plus 52 plus 53 plus 55 plus 53. That is 268 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divided by 5. The mean for x sub 2 is equal to 53.6. Same process with the mean of x sub 3. 51 plus 52 plus 50 plus 53 plus 50. That is 256 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divided by 5. So the mean for x sub 3 is equal to 51.2. That is how we get for the value of mean of x sub 1, mean of x sub 2, and mean of x sub 3. Next step. So these are the values that we need in order for us to solve for the value of f. So we have also summation of x sub t or summation of x total. That is by simply adding x sub 1, summation of x sub 1 plus summation of x sub 2 plus summation of x sub 3. 253 plus 268 plus 256, that is summation of x sub t or summation of x sub total. Next one, n sub t or n total is equal to 15. 5 plus 5 plus 5, that is 15. N sub 1 has 5 frequency, n sub 2 has 5 frequency, and n sub 3 has 5 frequency. Next one, calculate the SSB or sum of squares between groups. Here's our formula. Okay, summation of the square of the summation of x sub 1 over n sub 1 plus the square of the summation of x sub 2 over n sub 2 plus the summation plus the square of the summation of x sub 3 over n sub 3 minus the square of the summation of x sub t over n sub t. It goes like this. Summation of x sub 1 is 253 squared over 5. We have total number of frequency, which is 5. Summation of x sub 2 is 268. The square of it is over 5. Plus summation of x sub 3 is 256 squared over 5. Minus summation of x sub t, 777 squared over 15. What are we going to do? We will be finding the square of 253, square of 268, the square of 256, and the square of 77. By the means of multiplying these numbers by themselves. 253 times 253, that is 64,009. 253 times 253, 64,009. 268 times 268, 71,824. 256 times 256, that is 65,536. 777 times 777, 603,729 over 15. Okay, next. We will be dividing the 64,009 by 5, 71,824 by 5, 75,536 divided by 5, 603,729 divided by 15. It goes like this. So that is 12,801.8, 14,364.8 plus 13,107.2 minus 40,248.6. The last step, add then minus, add 12,801.8 plus 14,364.8 plus 13,107.2 minus 40,248.6. And the answer for SSB is 25.2. The value of the sum of squares between groups is 25.2. I hope you were able to follow the instructions. Next one. We have now the value for SSB, which is 25.2. Next step, calculate the degree of freedom between groups. So degree of freedom between groups is equal to k minus 1. We have 3 total groups, 1, 2, 3, minus 1. Degrees of freedom between groups is equal to 2. As simple as that. We have now SSB is equal to 25.2. Degrees of freedom between groups is 2. Next step, calculate the SSW or the sum of squares within groups. So this is our formula. The quantity of the summation of the square of x sub 1 minus the square of the summation of x sub 1 over n sub 1 plus the summation of the square of x sub 2 minus the square of the summation of x sub 2 over n sub 2 plus the summation of the square of x sub 3 minus the square of the summation of x sub 3 over n sub 3. Let's now substitute these values on the given formula. Goes like this. So summation of the square of x sub 1 is equal to 12,817. Then summation of x sub 1 is 253, the square of it. Then n sub 1 is 5. Summation of the square of x sub 2 is this one, 14,372, minus summation of x sub 2 is 268. Then we will be looking for the square of it. N sub 2 is 5 plus the summation of the square of x sub 3, which is 13,114, minus the square of the summation of x sub 3, which is 256. Then 256 times 256 divided by 5. Okay, let's now solve this one. 253 times 253 divided by 5. Then 268 times 268 divided by 5. 256 times 256 divided by 5. It goes like this. Bring down 12,817. Then 253 times 253 divided by 5 is 12,801.8. Then 268 times 268 divided by 5 is 14,364.8. Copy 14,372. Then 256 times 256 divided by 5 is 13,107.2. Then copy 13,114. Next one, subtract this 2. Okay, that is 12,817 minus 12,801.8. That is 15.2. 14,372 minus 14,364.8. That is 7.2. 13,114 minus 13,107.2. That is 6.8. Okay, we are now done with our second to the last. We will now be moving on to the last solution. 15.2 plus 7.2 plus 6.8. The answer for the SSW, or sum of squares within groups, is 29.2. So that is SSW is equal to 29.2. Next step, calculate the degrees of freedom within groups. So degrees of freedom within groups is equal to n total, or n sub t, minus k, wherein total number of frequency, minus total number of groups, 15 minus 3. So degrees of freedom within groups is equal to 12. I hope you are still with me. Let's now follow the next step. Calculate the SST, or the total sum of squares. So always remember, the summation of the square of x sub t is equal to 40,303. Where did we get this? We add 12,817 plus 14,372 plus 13,114. That is 40,303. Okay, this is our formula for the sum, for the total sum of squares is equal to the summation of the square of x sub t minus the square of the summation of x sub t over n sub t. The value for the summation of the square of x sub t is 40,303 minus the square of the summation of x sub t, which is 777, over n sub t, which is 15. Then the first step, 777 squared, that is 777 times 777, that is 603,729. 777 times 777, the answer is 603,729. Then divide this 2, that is 40,248.6. Then subtract, SST is equal to 54.4. As you can see, SSB plus SSW should be equal to SST. That is 54.4. 25.2 plus 29.2 is equal to 54.4. Okay, we're almost finished now because we just need to fill in this table for our last process. Calculate the MSW and MSB. Let's now try to check first the formula. MSB is equal to the sum of squares between over the degrees of freedom between. Then MSW is equal to the sum of squares within divided by the degrees of freedom within. Let's now try to fill in this one first. The sum of squares of between groups is 25.20. Then the sum of squares of within groups is 29.20. Then the sum squares total is 54.4. 40. In terms of degrees of freedom of between groups, that is 2. Then degrees of freedom within groups, that is 12. We will now be getting the value for mean square by simply dividing this 2, 25.20. That is 25.20 divided by 2. The mean square between is equal to 12.60. The mean square for between, or the mean square between, is equal to 12.60. Next one, MSW, or the mean square within groups, is equal to 29.20 divided by 12. 29.20 divided by 12, the answer is 2.43. As simple as that. Next one, we are now down to the last one, F ratio or F value. We will be calculating the F value. F is equal to MSB over MSW. MSB over MSW. Mean square between groups divided by mean square within groups. That is 12.60 divided by 2.43. 12.60 divided by 2.43. So the answer is 5.175. 5.175. The F value for the given problem is 5.175. And we have a level of significance of 0.05 or margin of error of 0.05. Then that is how we calculate the value for F, or the value for t-test ANOVA. Let's now move on our last part, that is writing the decision rule for rejecting the null hypothesis. We are going to write the decision rule for rejecting the null hypothesis. When do we reject and when do we accept? We will be rejecting the null hypothesis, or H sub 0, if the F value is greater than or equal to 3.885. We will be rejecting H sub 0 if the F value is greater than or equal to 3.885. And we are going to accept the null hypothesis if the F value is less than 3.885. Okay? Where did we get 3.885? It will be based on the degrees of freedom of between groups and within groups. And you will be able to check this one on the F test critical value. Then you will be able to see 3.885 degree of freedom 2 over degree of freedom 1. So let's now compare. Since the F value is 5.175, or since the F value 5.175 is greater than 3.885 or 3.88, we will be rejecting the null hypothesis. Again, since our F value is greater than 3.885, we will be rejecting the null hypothesis. Therefore, there is a significant difference among the scores of the students on statistics. That means the performance of the students are different from each other or from each section. Okay, I hope you were able to follow our long process in terms of solving for the t-test ANOVA. And I hope you were able to follow. Okay, we're finished. Always remember, mathematics will always remind us that in every problem, there is a solution. Thank you for your time, everyone. Thank you for watching, and God bless you all. Bye. See you on our next tutorial.